He just texted me.
The official call is under review. Let's go to the monitor.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Under Review Podcast, Week 7, Episode 17. And we have a good one in store for you. I am your host, Todd. Alongside me is my co-host, Marty.
What's up, guys? What's up?
And what a great week we have, going for this week. And, a special guest picker we have, and that knows a little bit more about it than I do.
Hey, Todd, just real quick, if my thing goes stupid, my iPad's acting up, so I might have to do it on my phone.
All right.
So if it goes crazy, just talk through it and get Hayden in there.
Oh, well. All right, so let's just, first, sponsor. Or not. I'm getting this here.
Your butt
here lately. Well, I guess we'll just wait. Maybe we won't forget it, but it will come. All right. So, what a week we got in store, like we said, and let's start off. 21 Missouri Tech travels down to UMass at 11 o'clock on ESPN2.
Would you gonna bring up the numbers and stuff there so I can read?
Well, if I could, I would. Something's wrong with my second computer.
Technical difficulties at its max, because I didn't write anything down. I was just waiting on you.
Oh no!
So we're in trouble. But no, with this UMass team, I don't see. They might put up a small fight here, but after the beating Mizzou took from Texas A&M, I think they're going to come out fired up, make the right plays, and get another win, especially with this not being an SEC school.
Yeah, well, the Minutemen are 1-5 on the season.
Yeah.
The Tigers did lose to Texas A&M last weekend. So, and my notes say the first ever meeting between these two teams. So, whoever wins goes ahead.
Well, 1-0 is 1-0.
That's right. And now let's go on to if you don't quit smacking that gum.
Oh.
Thank you.
You sound like Brittany.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Mississippi State will travel down to Athens, Georgia to face the number 5 Bulldogs, 3:15 on the SEC Network.
So what's the last meeting stats on them? Do you got a line on them either?
The line is 34 points favorite for Georgia. And the last time, Georgia leads the series 20-6, with Georgia winning in the last 4 dating back to 2011 and won the last matchup in 2022.
Yeah, Mississippi State's not bringing a whole lot to the table this year, as they're at the bottom of the barrel. Again, I think just under Auburn or above Auburn, which is a terrible thing to say. But I think Georgia got a good win last week in Auburn. They tuned some things. And there is, just a side note, there is some problems in Georgia. One of their wide receivers was arrested. He was the same one that scored that touchdown that went through the receiver's hands, and he caught it and scored it. I think Young was his last name.
Caleb Young.
Yeah, I think he had some domestic issues or what it was, but another one of Kirby Smart's players is in that black and white uniform.
Well, again, like you say, you still take that playoff, they still win. So if he would have played last Saturday, it wouldn't have mattered. But, we said Missouri last game, but, Georgia at home against a not proven Mississippi State team, I'm taking Georgia as well.
Yeah, I'll get the Bulldogs here as well.
Which Bulldogs?
Oh, yeah, Georgia.
There you go. Clearing it up.
It's going to be a dog pound fight this week for them.
Don't call Michael Vick. Florida travels down to Tennessee at 6 o'clock ESPN as Florida leads the series 32-21, with Florida winning last year.
Yeah, we really seen a different ball team. I don't want to say an exposed ball team for Tennessee last week with Arkansas. getting that win. Hopefully they took this week and repaired. I don't say put Band-Aids on it, but got where they needed to, get Nico in the right zone, get him on the same page as his receivers. And Florida, yeah, they did have a win, but it was against the UCF team that we didn't think would put up too much of a battle, which they did a little bit here and there. But again, I'm going on Rocky Top.
I see Morgan Wallen and his Tennessee Volunteers. As Florida tries to put a Band-Aid on a bullet hole, it's not going to work.
Oh, that's a good song too.
It is a good one. But Tennessee and Rocky Top, you'll always be not home sweet home to me, but you'll win this one.
Yeah, I'm going to.
As we get into our games of the week, we're going to bring on our special guests. I know we kind of run through those, but this is the reason why we ran through those is because we got a special guest at 5 minutes inside of our episode. So
I just hope my computer stays with it. So if it crashes, I'll figure it out.
So buckle up and let's welcome Hayden Coker.
Yes, sir. Yep. Loud and clear, brother.
How are we doing this? How are we doing today?
Man, if I was any better, I would be you. So real quick, how was your trip to Stillwater?
Absolutely phenomenal, man. We're great. The trip was great. The lady's phenomenal.
Good deal.
So it was a really good trip. I really enjoyed it. We got to watch Oklahoma State get the brakes beat off of them the other day.
Which has been a big shocker all year that they're getting handled the way they are.
I'm so shocked. I would have never expected this. I thought that they were going to be one of the better teams. You're returning double-digit starters on both sides of the ball, and for them to be as bad as they are is shocking. The offensive coordinator has got to go. Really, they just need to start from the ground up.
Yeah, especially returning Ollie Gordon and Bowman. You would expect them to be better than they are. It's just, to me, it's devastating because, I like Ollie Gordon. If you've listened to previous episodes, Ollie Gordon is one of my favorite running backs inside.
Same.
Besides, the Genty kid from Boise State is coming on the scene. Yeah, so it's heartbreaking for me to watch him lose like that. I like Gundy. I like what he's doing down there, and it sucks.
Yeah, it's disappointing. Over the last few years, I followed this team pretty heavily, and for them to be as bad as they are right now is kind of shocking. I had them as the team in the college football playoff in my preseason rankings, so it's kind of disappointing to see where they are right now because they definitely aren't living up to what I thought they would be.
Right. Most definitely, man. I've seen your pictures. I love that stadium. I love the Cowboys. I love the colors. They're always one of my teams to play with. I love Pistol Pete getting his pistols fired up. But all right, man, Todd, let's jump in this and get some of these knocked out.
All right. Our first game is going to be South Carolina traveling down to number 7 Alabama, as it is a 11 a.m. kickoff on ABC. Hayden, what you got?
Well, I think this is an interesting game. Obviously, Alabama's coming off a tough loss to Vanderbilt, and I don't think anybody saw that coming. Diego Pavia gave Alabama a heck of a game and really submitted himself as one of the greatest performances of all time with Vandy football. So he played out of his mind. And I was shocked. But that's a whole different story. I think that Alabama, they're coming back home. They're in Tuscaloosa. It kind of reminds me of how Auburn and Georgia went this past weekend. It's a little bit of a get-right week. You shouldn't have trouble with South Carolina at home after getting embarrassed by Vanderbilt in Nashville. But we've seen some stranger things before. So, I don't know. I think that Alabama has this game. I think they win it. I don't think they will struggle any. But I certainly think that they've got to get things going before we even start to discuss the playoffs or anything. Obviously, I think they will be in the playoffs, but that should not be on anybody's mind if you're an Alabama fan or if you're on the coaching staff or whatever. It is week one if you're Alabama. It is week one. It's time to start over. Whatever happens this week, take that and run with it. You win this game, go with that, but there cannot be any sort of disconnect from the coaches to the team that's like, hey, you know what, this is not – because that is not who they are. This past weekend when they lost to Vandy, that is not who they were. You had a situation with Malachi Moore. You had the situation in general with losing in Nashville. It's just not great. So I certainly think that it'll be an interesting game for the first quarter just to see how Alabama starts off. But after that, I think it'll be all Alabama.
Yeah, most definitely. I know we got into a pretty good little conversation on, I believe, on one of your social media posts as the Malachi Moore situation, which is worse. One of the worst things I've seen in college football. But again, besides being a TV Saturday at an Alabama fan's house, I would not want to be South Carolina because I think they're going to get a pretty pissed off Alabama team. They're going to work out some of their things, and I think they're going to run it up. It will shock me if they don't. And if South Carolina puts them in their place as Vandy did, I mean, South Carolina, we know, has a tough defense. So I'm curious to see it, but I think they're going to come out and they're going to roll.
So with you saying go ahead.
Go ahead, Todd.
So what I was saying is the only way that I can see that South Carolina has a chance in this game, and that's with the big men on that defensive line with Kennard, Stewart, and then Debo Williams at linebacker.
Debo Williams.
If they can come out and play, take a little bit of film from, what they've seen from last week against Vanderbilt, take that, they have a chance. I'm not saying they will win it, but they have a chance to keep it close if those guys can come out and play Vandy football pretty much at this point.
We also thought that about the Vandy game, but I think Vandy is a way better team than Mississippi State.
We're talking about South Carolina, though, so.
Well, that's what I mean. I said we didn't think Bama was going to get beat by them. But...
what was you going to say, Hayden?
Mississippi State's another team that's an interesting topic of conversation because they are just awful, absolutely awful. They got embarrassed by a Toledo team that, I'm not saying Toledo's horrible, but they got beat by Western Kentucky, so. And you got blown out. Mississippi State got blown out by Toledo, so.
Yeah, it was a good one. So in this matchup, Alabama leads 11-4 with Alabama winning the last matchup in 2019. What's your picks?
I don't think it goes any. Yeah, go ahead, Hayden.
Oh, my bad. Thanks for talking to me. My bad. I think the Alabama wins. Go ahead.
Yeah, I definitely got Alabama here. Again, like we seen last week, stranger things have happened, but I don't think lightning strikes twice on Alabama this early.
Yeah, so, I don't think you go back-to-back losses, especially coming back to Bryant Denny, trying to figure that team out or get back together, be a unit. South Carolina's just in a wrong predicament right here. Give me Alabama.
I think we all agree.
Tide. Yep, roll Tides across the board.
We going that far.
Yeah, right. Number 9, Ole Miss travels down to Baton Rouge to face the number 13 LSU Tigers, 6:30 on ABC.
Ole Miss, LSU.
This is a very interesting matchup. I've looked at this a little bit, and I think that Ole Miss is struggling. You lose to a Kentucky team, and they were off this past week. No, you had South Carolina, right? Yeah. South Carolina this past week, and then you get right, but you go down to Baton Rouge. So you're on the road again, and it's at night. We all know how Baton Rouge is at night. We all know how Baton Rouge is. And
yes, sir.
I think that's what makes this game a key topic. If this game is in Ole Miss, I don't necessarily think I do think Ole Miss would win. If it was in Oxford, I would go Ole Miss. But with this game being in Baton Rouge, with LSU getting hot at the right time, the problems that we all saw at the beginning of the year with the defense, the offense not necessarily panning out, I really think that this is going to be an LSU. I think this is going to be a Brian Kelly masterclass. I'm going with LSU. I think they knock off Ole Miss and they spoil the Rebels' SEC championship and college football playoff hopes. So I'm going with the Tigers.
I could not agree more there. Ole Miss has just struggled enough. Jackson Dart got through the first 4 or 5 games, squashing cupcakes. But now, like we've said many times, we get into this tough SEC schedule and it goes out the window. I think Brian Kelly, he has at times been one of the best coaches in college football. Maybe took a hit here and there, but I do like the Tigers here. I think the defense puts together, stifles Jackson under 200 yards, whether that be passing or rushing. And real quick, Hayden, I found a fun fact. I don't know if you know anything about it, but why this game is technically considered a rivalry, and it's the Magnolia Bowl. Do you have any insight on that, or?
Not at all. I knew that it was a big game. And, no, I knew that it was a big game and everything, but when it comes to a rivalry, I mean, I knew it was a rivalry, a big game. I did not know that it was named or anything. So I just kind of went with it and knew that this was going to be a good game. I know that a lot of people look forward to this game every year, and this is one of the games that I think is one of the better games for the year for both of these teams.
Yeah, I recently found that out. I was doing some graphic work and stuff to get ready for this week, and I pulled them up, and it said Magnolia Bowl, and I never in 100 years have even heard of that. But I guess they want each other's flowers.
LSU leads all time 65-42 with 4 ties, but Ole Miss won the last matchup last year. So could be a little, controversy, but like we said, it's in LSU. Ole Miss is favored 67-32, but in a 3.5 point favorite in this game. So ESPN's predicting Ole Miss, but my thing is, you have the 2 best quarterbacks as of right now, statistically wise, the 2 best quarterbacks going head to head this week, and then Ole Miss having the 2 of the top, one of the top rushing yards, and then the top receiver in Trey Harris this year. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Dart Gus Meyer matchup plays out this week. But clean sweep again. Give me the Tigers.
Yep.
One of the key things this weekend is how Trey Harris and Jackson Dart, how they are connecting. Are they on the same page? Trey Harris has been the number 1 guy there for years. So I think that they definitely have to be on point for Ole Miss to win this game. But I don't think they do, and I think LSU takes it.
Oh, most definitely. As Corso say, that's a good pick, my friend.
Yeah, like I said, I don't see it. If somehow Ole Miss does win, I won't be shocked as much because statistically they're favored. They're favored in every category, so I wouldn't be shocked. But now if LSU comes out and blows them out, I'd be more shocked about that.
Right, and this is a 9-3 or 9-13 matchup, so it's not too far off. But again, I guess you want to call it upset, but I do like the Tigers.
All right, well, let's head on down to our next matchup. As Vanderbilt travels down to Kentucky to face the Wildcats, 6:45 on the SEC Network.
I feel like Vandy will get, but it's also one of those games that I'm not necessarily sure if they go in sleepwalking. You just knock off a giant, okay? You are now known as a giant killer, allegedly. And so if Vandy goes into this game with the correct mindset, they win the game. But will they do that? I think they do, and I think Pavia, it has a lot to do with that. I think that he has a certain type of leadership to him, and he just has those certain qualities that every team needs in a leader, and I just think they get it done. I think that Vanderbilt is going to be, I'm not going to say dominant. I do think they go in and they pick up their ways from last Saturday, and they beat the Kentucky Wildcats.
Yeah, I most definitely like that pick as well. So I think Vandy's going to come in on a high. Maybe they sputter a little bit because that high that they're trying to come down from, I don't think it'd be too great. We've seen the Kentucky struggles at quarterback and not being on the same page. But again, you said it. Pavia is, he's their leading passer, their leading rusher. He is that guy. He is Vanderbilt football. All besides, was it Jay Cutler that went to Vandy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I don't say he's the next Jay Cutler by any means, but he is in that.
Jay.
Yeah, he is in that Vanderbilt lore, and I think they check all the boxes. If this game could be close, and if it is, I still like Vandy pulling it out. Anchor down.
So Kentucky leads the all-time series 49-43 with 4 ties, and Kentucky won the last matchup last year. So that means Vanderbilt's beat them before that. So, but the numbers are saying Kentucky is a 68% favorite in this game.
Wow.
And a 14-point favorite as well. Here's my thing. You was talking about legend killer, per se. they also beat Kentucky's last game. They beat Ole Miss, so they beat a pretty good team. They're coming off a pretty big win and a bye. And then Vanderbilt, slayed the dragon, just kind of like David and Goliath. Just struck him down. Nobody thought about it. So both of these teams are coming off two big wins against both ranked teams. Kentucky should have won the Georgia game, but that's behind us. We can't talk about that anymore. So to me, it's a toss up. I don't see it per se being a 68% favorite in Kentucky's way.
Correct.
Because how are you counting out this Vanderbilt team after what they just did? Now, granted, they are on the road in Lexington. So I guess with all that saying, give me Vanderbilt.
Okay.
What we're going to have to do is we're going to have to start switching it up, because what's going to happen is none of our predictions that we're picking, none of the teams that we're picking are actually going to win the game. We're going to be like a bunch of bozos, okay?
Well,
so
hey,
one of us is going to have to switch.
Yeah, I was 8-2 last week in Pick'em, so I've been fairly decent the last week or so. But real quick, Todd, to a point that you said that that Kentucky slayed that dragon at Ole Miss. But go back and look at that Ole Miss team. Are they really that big of a Goliath?
Right.
So I mean, that's
ranking wise.
Well, that's because they went to Publix down there and got the 4-pack of muffins with the extra fatty icing on top.
But when Ole Miss does it, it's okay to eat 4 cupcakes. But when I do it, I'm called a fatty. What's wrong with that?
And diabetes.
I would enjoy a cupcake.
Right.
I wouldn't mind a few cookies.
Well, I'm just eating apples.
So I might get a text or so saying, if my girlfriend listens to this later, I'm going to get a text saying, hey, you need to chill out, biggin'. So I'm like, all right.
Yeah, I'm going to get me some apples and cheese on this fine high-protein thing.
But here's another thing when you talk about, switching everything up. So far, every guest picker that we have has not missed a game. But you are the first one to have all 5 games, so it's a little bit tougher for you. So let's keep that streak alive.
Right.
We're 3 in. We got 2 more to go.
Hey,
right.
I mean, just real quick, Auburn's going to play them by Bison, so hopefully they can squeak out one there.
Now we're going to head on the road as one of the biggest matchup the college implications have this week, as the number 2 undefeated Ohio State plays the number 3 undefeated Oregon Ducks, 6:30 on the NBC or Peacock.
Oregon has struggled this year.
Bum bum.
That me or you?
That's him. Well, that was I guess it might have the same thing happened with Brandon last week.
I know, right here at the end. But
Yeah.
again, I'll agree with Hayden. Hopefully he can get back on with us. Oregon has struggled. I mean, they had a Heisman candidate in Dylan Gabriel.
Who's now fell to 10th in the rankings, which is shocking.
Right, which he's taken that Gentry from Boise State, which I've been riding since day one. That's beside the point. I really haven't got to see too much of Ohio State because my 3 games of the week are usually SEC games flipping back and forth. But like I said, what's the spread and the numbers on this one real quick?
The spread is in favor of 3-point favorites for Ohio State, but the matchup predictor has Ohio State a 64% favorite in this game.
Yeah, like I said, as much as I'm a big fan of Oregon, it's only when they don't play Auburn in the national championship kind of thing. I like the unis.
Still lost.
Yeah, you just because you got a shiny duck don't mean you win. But yeah, I think I'm gonna jump in and go Ohio State here.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the numbers, Ohio State's biggest game they gave up was 14 points, and that was to Marshall. And that was week 3. Akron scored 6. They shut out Western Michigan. And then Marshall scored 14. Michigan State scored 7, and Iowa scored 7 last week. And then you look over to Oregon. The biggest game that they gave up was to Alshon Jeffrey and that Boise State with 34, and they about lost that game.
There we go.
There he is.
Sorry, my phone overheated, so now I'm currently outside.
I didn't know it was that hot at Jacksonville State.
I didn't realize it either, man. I didn't realize it either. I didn't know what was going on.
No,
So
go
now I'm out
ahead.
here.
Yeah, go ahead. Go back to your. You were on Oregon, Ohio State. I went ahead, did my pick. I picked the Buckeyes against my better judgment, but
Yeah, I'll go back to it. I think that Oregon struggled this year. They struggled a little bit early on. You get a good win against a Michigan State team who is not all that bad in my eyes. Aiden Childs has done some nice things this year, but then again, this is not the greatest team in the world. I think that Oregon has a little work to do, but I think they get things done this weekend in Eugene. So I think they win, and I think they take over that 1 or 2 spot against the Ohio State Buckeyes, and that's just how I'm seeing it this week, guys.
Yeah. With them being in Eugene, that really kind of tables it. But I think with their struggles, as again like they had against Boise State as well. Now, granted, Boise State's got Alshon Gentry, possibly going to be a Heisman finalist.
Should, at least.
I mean, his numbers have been
He should win it.
Yeah, for right now, I haven't seen anybody that stayed consistent as he has through the years, because I think he's had at least 175 plus each game, and there's 2 or 3 games he had around 230 or so.
And only two of those games he's only played in the first half as well. So
yeah, so Jen, I guess I'm a numbers guy on this one. I'm going to stick with the Buckeyes.
It was you was talking about Michigan State, Hayden. Oregon last week played Michigan State, beat them 31-10. 2 weeks ago, Ohio State played them and beat them 38-7. So I don't know how.
Yeah,
I mean, there's almost the same. Oregon gave up 3 more points, but Ohio State did score 7 more points on them. So I mean, but looking at everything, I like Will Howard. I like Quinshawn. I like the freshman receiver. So give me Ohio State.
Up 2-1. We broke the streak.
I was about to say, I think we've finally done it. We're not agreeing.
Yeah, we talked it up. That's what.
Let's get on to our last game, and because I know some of us got pretty busy lives today, so we're trying to hurry up and everything for you.
No, y'all are all good. I don't have to go into class till 11:15, so till then I'm all yours.
Now it's time for the Under Review Podcast Game of the Week as the #1 Texas Longhorns travel down to the actual game's in Dallas, but against the 18-ranked Oklahoma Sooners in the Red River Rivalry. What you got, Hayden?
This is an interesting game. I think that Texas is they've been really good this year. Quinn Ewers has been injured. You saw Arch Manning coming to the game, and he's been playing. Arch Manning played some really good ball. I think that Quinn is starting because Sarkisian said the other day that if I think this was on Monday, if the game had started today, that he would go. So it'll be Quinn Ewers starting, and I think that Texas will win this game, and I think that it'll be a little bit closer than some people were kind of thinking. I'm not necessarily sure on what the line was. I looked at it the other day. I can't remember, but
that is a 14-point favorite for Texas.
Okay, I'll go Texas by 10. I thought it was somewhere around 13 or 14. I'll go Texas by 10. But I think that Oklahoma gives them a little bit of a scare early on in the fourth quarter, but Texas kind of pulls away.
Yeah, I as well like that pick. Texas, being off last week, they had plenty of time to prep, and, they had a couple cupcake games. They just run out. Ewers starting, I don't think, whether it's Ewers or Manning, I don't think it really makes a difference. The Red River Rival has been one of the longest in college football, not the longest, but one of them. And now it comes to the SEC, which now, as we all know, SEC just means more. Texas got too many weapons here. I think the back 7 in Oklahoma, they're probably going to get gassed pretty good. So I'm going to go Longhorns in their first ever meeting in the SEC Red Rival.
So this is the All-State Red Rivalry game. It is played at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas, Texas.
Jerry World.
The predictor has me at 85.2 in favor of the Longhorns, so it's not giving any shot to Oklahoma whatsoever. Oklahoma this year, I won't say that they're a great team. I don't say that they're a playoff team, but they're good. Watching them fight back against Auburn and come back just shows the fight that they have. But on the other side of Texas, you have a problem at quarterback. It is a great one to have. You have two quarterbacks, so if one starts getting banged up, you can throw in another fresh legs, fresh arms, and it's kind of hard to strategize for, in my opinion. So, with that being said, this is a 2:30 game on ABC inside Jerry World. So, give me Texas, the number one overall team.
There we are again. We agreed on all of them but one, guys. We're so done. This isn't going to go well. What's going to happen is we're going to lose all of them, and then people are going to come back to this show and listen and say, hey, you know what? Maybe we should not listen to Marty and Todd anymore. And Hayden,
y'all are a bunch of idiots.
I think Todd scrambled that in week 2 or 3 when he's like 1 for 9 and pick them. So,
oh man,
I think we're just keeping them with comedy at this point.
Yeah.
At that point, you just have to claim. You have to say, I'm not an analyst. I never claimed to be an analyst or anything like that.
Yeah, have the warning before the show comes on.
But another quick hit about the Texas Red River rivalry. Texas leads the all-time series 63-51 with 5 ties, but Oklahoma did win last year on a crazy play on the back of the end zone. So there's just that little snippet for you. But, as we get ready to close everything out, Hayden, we want to thank you for being here. It's great having you. Tell the fans where they can find you at and watch some of you and hear more about you.
Oh, I appreciate it, Todd. And Marty, thank y'all. I appreciate it. I highly appreciate y'all inviting me on. And it's been fun. But you can follow me on Facebook at HCS Media, and then as well on YouTube is at HCS Media. We go live every Thursday night at 6 o'clock. Just talking about what these guys talk about, college football. So, guys, I appreciate you once again, and it means a lot.
Yeah, anytime, brother. I said I miss getting to hang out with you at the Chip from time to time, but man, it's good to catch up right here and have a little fun, talk a little football, and don't eat cupcakes.
Well, I'm not going to listen to that last little snippet you left, but I'll try. Thank y'all once again. I appreciate it. Let's go grab some lunch sometime and talk some ball.
Oh, of course.
Sounds good.
Thanks, guys. Y'all be good.
Have a good one, brother. All right, back to like I said, it was a great week. We appreciate everything Hayden had and all his insight for us. But as we're closing the episode, let's hit our sponsor real quick because we had time constraints. So wasn't afraid we was going to have enough time. So let's hit our sponsor real quick.
This episode of the Under Review podcast is brought to you by Chuck's Heating and Air. Chuck has over 40 years of service and experience with residential services. He services most makes and models. He is Alabama licensed, bonded, and insured, and locally owned and operated. Are you hot and you're supposed to be cool? Are you cool and you're supposed to be hot? Then you've got a problem. Call Chuck. Area code 256-892-2757.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. But thank you, Jud, for that amazing soundbite. Again, thank you, Chuck's Eating and Hair. Thank you, thank you, Chuck's Heating and Air, for being our sponsor. And as a special thanks to the Dadpod with Hunter Brassfield and Nicholas Adams, our special guest picker, and the HCS Media headliner, Hayden Coker, for being on today and, giving us that great insight once again. Jud Dickinson for all the sound bites he does, and then Brendan Trammell for everything that he's done as well. Marty, you got any closing comments for today?
No, I'm just super excited. We get kicked off early with 2 good ball games in there. Getting ready for the colder weather's coming, which we know that's definitely football season. Fall weather, which I know Brittany hates because she's already dreading the cold. She says, I hate snow. I said, we're not going to get snow. I just hate it already. Again, thanks to all our sponsors and our guys, especially thank again to Hayden for coming on and giving us a little bit of time for his insights. And I'm just ready for Saturday now.
All right. And like we said, God loves you here, and we love you here at the Under Review podcast. And thanks for listening. And as always, we will see you at the monitor when we go under review. think we will. We're supposed to, at least. There we go.
Thanks for making the call to go under review. Join us next time as we go to the monitors.
Tick tock, tick tock.